What's good, bros? How you guys doing? Welcome to my bodybuilding channel. My name is Spencer Rose, and I'm extremely thrilled to have you guys here today. Now, I want to talk about my bodybuilding philosophy and journey. And before I get into my bodybuilding philosophy and training style, I want to talk about my journey. Before I started lifting, I was around 15 years old. That's when I first started. And I was 120 pounds at 5'8". I was skipping school, I was hanging around the wrong people, and I generally had no direction in my life. My friends started sending me all these TikToks and stuff like that so I can learn how to lift. And that's a very important detail. Now, that was the start of it. And I believe bodybuilding is more than just an evolution of your physical being. It's also an evolution of who you are. It's really an expression of who you are as a person. The type of person to wake up early and go to the gym after a long day of work, or even go very early in the morning. It expresses something about who they are. And that is a really big deal. You know, as someone who wakes up at 4 in the morning and then I go to the gym after work, you know, I love it. I love lifting, and it's about the love and the journey of things. Goals. What is your goal? Now, people start lifting for various reasons. It can be to get over a breakup, attract more girls, get better at the sport they're playing, make a sports team, whatever it is. It doesn't matter, right? And we will get to your goal in some way, right? Which is what we're going to program when it comes to your physique goal. But there's the surface level thinking of things, right? Because, for example, for me, I had a very shallow goal. I was just like, oh yeah, I want to look a little bit better and I want to attract more girls. And I got that very quickly. But I realized, because I got it quickly, there's more than just that. Like, it's who I'm becoming. It's the consistency of going to the gym every day or every couple of days, depending on your split, which we will get into. And the habits, the expression of who you are, right? The type of person that wants to become better, the type of person that wants to have a better physique for themselves, and even for maybe their downstream as well, right? Or even just an example, because that energy leaks into everyone that you interact with, whether it's strangers that you meet walking by, people at restaurants, or even your best friends and family. It leaks into everyone, this energy that you have. It's contagious in a lot of ways. And a lot of your friends that you live with, you notice that you can bounce that energy off each other a lot of the times. So you need to remember that the journey is the most important thing. The goal that you want is super important. Yes, we will get into it, because everyone has some sort of narcissistic want that we will get to. But you need to appreciate the lifting of the weights, going to failure, the love of the movements, the love of the journey, eating properly, right? Doing your steps, keeping your cardio up to base, right? All of these things are extremely important when it comes to lifting. And it's the consistency and man or woman you're really becoming, the expression of your soul. This is why I call it the bodybuilding soul journey, because ultimately it does exactly that. Expand your soul. You have your physique goal, or maybe if you don't, you're gonna have one from superhero or anime. Now, let's take my physique goal. Goku, for example, at the start. Super Saiyan 1 Goku. That was my first physique goal. I can manifest aspects of his physique into my own, because he's not even real. Goku is not even real. He's just a bunch of pixels. He's animated. I'm real. I can manifest those things into my own physique. Now, we have to accommodate your plan to your schedule, right? Whether you're super busy and you have like kids and all these things, you only do 2 long lifts a week, or you're just a young kid and you can do 6 days a week, whatever it is, right? It's really up to you. Now that we have your availability kind of scheduled out, right? You can see, oh yeah, I can work out for 4 days a week, an hour and a half, right? Or 5 days a week, an hour each, something like that, right? We have to make something that's going to fit into that. Now, here are some simple plans that can work for you. An upper lower 4 times a week, right? You can also add an arm day to that to make it 5 days a week. You can do a push pull legs. This can be anywhere from 3 times a week to 6 times a week. 3 times a week would be a full body, and then 6 times a week would be, well, push, pull, legs, muscle. We can also do things like bro splits too, right? Bro splits and full body. And as you get more advanced, you can also mix these kind of into each other, right? So now that you chose your availability and your split, right? You know how many days you want to go, you know how long you want to go roughly, right? How much you're able to commit to. We have to correlate this physique, your goal physique to this program and make sure that this program hits those goals. For example, let's say you want big shoulders, right? You don't really care about having a big chest. You want some big ass shoulders. What you do, you'd be focusing more on vertical presses versus horizontal presses like bench presses, right? And other variations of that. Now, notice how I say horizontal presses. I'm not saying you have to do overhead press. You have to do Smith machine press, right? You can really mix it up as long as you have two variations that you kind of switch between that you really enjoy and that you really click into. That's my general view. If you have two variations you really like, you can switch between those two because you'll be able to gain strength off of each other so then you don't get overuse injuries and all those things. Now, this is really important. Just because you want, for example, really big shoulders, really big arms, really big chest, just a big upper body, but you just don't care about your legs, all it's gonna do is gonna dampen your own potential. All it's gonna do is you're gonna have to work harder later to make it catch up to the rest of your physique. This personally happened with me when it came to my quads. My quads were not trained the first year and a half of my lifting career. Now, why was that? That's because I wanted to be athletic. I wanted to do only hamstrings. So I only did hamstring exercises. And it was really stupid of me because I was like, oh, I have small quads and I have bad quads, but I have pretty decent hamstrings. Why is that? I didn't freaking train my quads. So they were a weak point for a while until I finally learned how to properly train them through machines and stuff where I really found my groove with them. That's a really big thing. You know what I mean? Finding out what correlates to your physique and making sure that you're not just skipping over the weak points of the things that you hate the most. Ultimately, it will help you out the most. Execution versus expectation. These things are completely different. You can have the most perfect program of all time, but if you're not training hard, you know what I mean, you're barely putting any effort in, you will not get the program's full potential because you are not putting in your full potential either. So let's give high bar squats versus low bar squats as an example of a lift that will give you vastly different results despite being very similar. A low bar squat will make it so then it really dips into that hinge motion, right? Where you're putting the bar lower on your back, you're bending over more so your lower back takes more of the force compared to your quads, where your quads are kind of more of an assistant to the movement versus a high bar squat where your lower back is more of assistance and support, but your quads are the ones pushing the most. Now, let's give yourself a heel elevation on top of a high bar squat. And now you have an absolutely phenomenal quad builder. And if you stick to that and you get stronger over time with medium to high reps, right? You will grow much bigger legs compared to having a low bar squat. There's people that you see online who low bar squat 500 pounds. They don't have big legs. You will not see that on a dude who high bar squats 500 pounds. That's just because of the way they execute the lift and the emphasis of the muscles. It's like a wide grip bench. It's going to be a little bit more chest, a little bit less triceps because there's less range of motion, versus a closer grip bench where it can actually be equal chest because of the range of motion that you're getting, or more chest, but you're also getting more shoulders and more triceps because of the longer range of motion. So it really depends on the levers of the lifts and how you execute it, right? You can have the perfect program, but if you execute those lifts wrong, then you're not going to get those results, man. Now, powerlifting or bodybuilding. Now, I think powerlifting is awesome. And if that's your goal to get strong at powerlifting, whether it's the big three or whatever it is, right? That's amazing, right? That's not what I'm going to be here for. I'm not going to help you exactly get the strongest bench, deadlift, and squat of all time. I'm here to build your physique and help you build your physique. Now, this is the thing. when I was doing wide grip bench, I just hurt my shoulders. My chest, it grew, yeah, but it's like my shoulders were hurting. Now that was a shoulder stability problem, but that's besides the point. Then there was low bar squats. When I did low bar squats, my legs didn't grow as much as I thought they would because I was like, oh, I'm doing a squat. Like my legs should be growing a lot, but no, my lower back was taking over because I have more of a hingy squat because my ankles were messed up as a kid. So I had less dorsiflexion, right? Then when I did sumo deadlifts, you know, I got great back development from it, very good density, like decent density gains from it, but my hamstrings did not really grow from it. But when I switched over to a close grip bench press or a Larson press, for example, even incline dumbbells, right? I got way more growth in my chest through motions that benefited my structure more. Incline dumbbells, I have long arms for my height. I'm 5'8", 5'9", with a 6'1" wingspan. So the dumbbells, I'm able to get a long range of motion and I'm able to really get a good squeeze. Same thing in Larson press. I have a longer range of motion with close grip bench too. So I either just switch between close grip Larson and close grip regular. I'm stronger like that and I get more chest gains, more shoulder gains, and more tricep gains because it's more range of motion. With squats now, I do high bar, either ATG or parallel, with the heel elevation. Either with the barbell or the Smith machine. If you have a Smith machine or hack squat, use that thing, man. I got the best leg gains in the last year through machine, specifically Smith machine leg press. Wow, I got amazing gains from those. And sumo deadlifts were great for your upper back thickness and stuff like that and your erectors, but your hamstrings really didn't grow that much. RDLs do more upper back, more posterior chain, and your hamstrings. So and it also grows your deadlift more than sumo deadlift does. So it's a great exercise, especially if you do snatch grips and you change up the grips and stuff. Wow, you can grow an insane posterior chain and big hamstrings through RDLs, especially if you reach a little bit in front of you and you change the levers. That's extremely important. And this is why bodybuilding is different than powerlifting. It's the change the levers, right? Close grip bench is different than a wide grip bench. High bar squat with the heel elevation is different than a low bar squat with no heel elevation, right? Different muscles will be taking over. There's going to be different emphases due to the levers. So that's extremely important, and you need to keep that in mind when you're executing your program as well. Low volume versus high volume. Which one is best? The answer? None. They're equal. Now, this is the thing. Context is the most important thing when it comes to low volume versus high volume. Because if you don't use them in the proper context, then they won't work properly. It's that simple. With lower volume, right, you're gonna have to, this is just general rules, not set in cement, right? But with lower volume, you'll have to do generally bigger basic compound movements. Since you just only have so much energy and so many sets to spend on, you'll have to be more efficient, right? You can also go a little bit closer to failure because you'll have a little bit more rest on your side and your joints will be able to handle that. I'm not saying go to failure every set. I'm saying you can go generally closer to it. Now, you will be doing isolation work, but it's not going to be as much since you, like I said, you only have so much volume. Now with high volume, right, there will be a little bit more isolation work. You're still going to be doing your big basic compound movements. You're still going to be doing your horizontal presses, your heavy horizontal vertical presses. Still going to be doing your heavy hinge and heavy squat patterns, right, knee flexions. But you also need to keep in mind that you're doing higher volumes. Maybe your joints can't handle going to failure or going closer to failure all the time. I'm not saying don't go close to failure. I'm just saying watch out and be careful of that stuff, right? Leave a rep. If you leave a rep every set or so, you're going close to failure or 0 RIR, reps in reserve, right? Then you know, hey, like, I didn't need to go to failure. I'll be able to get stronger for my next session as long as I'm eating properly and stuff, and your joints won't be screaming at you, right? Especially if you take deloads and manage things properly, right? So there's context and nuance to all these things, especially the more advanced you get. We won't get too involved into that right now, but that is just something to keep in mind. Now, for example, let's take biceps when it comes to volume. let's say I have 6 sets of biceps for my arm days, and I have 2 arm days a week. So that's 12 sets in the week, right? So that's without indirect volume, of course. So that's just direct volume. Now, I can do, for example, 3 exercises of 2 sets on both arm days, right? Because sometimes, who doesn't love craving that little itch that you have to have exercise variation, right? Or you can have 2 exercises of 3 sets, right? It really depends on what you want. Now, this is the important thing. You need to keep those same variations and you need to get stronger at them. Don't, just because you have 3 exercises and you have 6 sets you can do, does not mean that you jump around to 3 different exercises or 2 different exercises every single time that you lift. No, you keep the same ones and you get stronger. Lastly, you have to be open-minded. You have to be so open-minded and have so much belief in yourself and how you will achieve your goal, right? And the unwavering belief that you will achieve it one day, right? That you need to understand that there is more, like I said, to bodybuilding than just your goal and all these programming things. You need to love this whole process, right? You need to believe that your genetics are okay, because they are realistically, bro. You're in the median of genetics somewhere, whether it's a lower end or higher end, and whether you're somewhere between there, you can reach a top 1% physique as long as you love it more than the people who are more genetically blessed than you. I have experienced that myself, where I have surpassed my friends who were genetically better off than I was, you know? They had better muscle insertions, better strength genetics, right? Just grew muscle quicker, right? They just fucking had abs 24/7, don't need to train, they can eat junk food, whatever the fuck it is. Don't get me wrong, I have a fast metabolism too, I can eat whatever I want. But I wasn't able to gain muscle the way they were. But they didn't fall in love with it. They didn't actually love the process of it. So then when things actually got hard in the intermediate phase, when things really needed nuance, when you need to actually understand training and how things work, that's when they quit, because it got hard. The results and their genetics didn't just carry them anymore. They actually had to learn and take time and energy out, which they clearly didn't have because they didn't love it. They didn't love the journey. This is why I say you need to be open-minded. You need to learn from others, whether it's people of opposite beliefs or the same beliefs, right? You have to be open-minded and just know your goal. Be a little bit tunnel visioned in some way and understand that it's the journey of things, right? Take your time to understand that, like the actual love of it. Some of the friends that I've seen that got the best results through bodybuilding were guys that don't even have the best genetics. The skinny motherfuckers that could barely even lift any fucking weights. I had a friend lifting like 2.5 pounds incline dumbbells, like one of the first times he ever did it. Now he's surpassed all the guys who were genetically doing like 50 the first time they ever did it. And he's surpassed them. He's a way better physique than them. He's way stronger than them now because he actually stuck to it. He fell in love with the grind. He fell in love with the process of it. And then his body rewarded him with the progress, right? You have to understand it's the actual transcendence. It's the actual evolution of who you are. Yes, your physique is gonna have some sort of narcissistic want or need behind it, right? You're gonna want to look better. You're gonna wanna have a 6-pack. You're gonna wanna have whatever it is, right? Due to whatever happened in your life or whatever. But that's okay. It doesn't matter. It's your goal anyways. Who the fuck cares? As long as you're doing something to achieve the goal and you're making the program and you're executing it properly, that's ultimately what matters.